Hello, dear leaders A through Z, and people, because you are leaders of yourself, individual bodies, a human species body, with all group differences demonstrated by that further and further obfuscated by and through our own voices. Otherwise, we are sensed, including if we are a majority of people, including if we are the voice of a whole country, where and how people agree and disagree. It is exactly the way the breaching method employed, which a breaching method also employed other it replaced scientific values inside the communications of our founders who did not have free speech because it was a breaching method entrenched. The nature of debate regarding this shows tactically, you know, you know, self-value the difference too between books or ones as school books, how they are both sickly, distinctly, criminally foreign influence, tactically delusions wrought, and with all exceptions in exception nature, with demonstrations of the same thing, instead being and having been employed. Functional, where and how there are self-valued roles, replacing the scientific value of a human fact human nature breaching method from the subject of America's founders about the human fact human nature breaching method slash S, because everyone was forced to roles from some ancient times no one wanted, but they didn't have any choice. They didn't have free speech. We don't have free speech. All exceptions, exception nature show that appear to be a demonstration of other even truths who are used to will come in with demonstrations of the same thing. But this breaching method shows all the names of the people of the sciences from off the locations, from off all locations slash S. Then further tied to database identities of relativity to ourselves and to the hyper relativity, that hyper native pure. We could observe it showing us the value of Native Americans relative to a breaching method before America's founders were born. Tactically teaching, forcing people to be about speaking about what's positive or negative through an as systems tactical ulterior from its own, increasingly incapable of even, it doesn't even have the species on the ground anymore. And then people go, oh, population and the nature of the debate. Guys, leave out space slash existence means come out of nowhere. And the suburbs were designed tactically denatured for torture, extortion, for slavery. All truths that were other come with demonstrations of the same thing. But see, we have, again, our founders' words replaced in communications replaced and faked. And self-value uses of their words, leaving out what they declassified about that, leaving out what nature declassifies about that. Self-value roles of the breaching method, measuring and maintaining through our own, and as the additional difference of the students, people that work at the campuses, the teachers, the police forms, the security, the people that work there. All those positions are already criminally foreign influence uses of them, and as families. Where and how they speak about and spoke about groups like criminal enterprises and like terrorists. They are recorded worse than criminally incompetent and having shown needs to pretend other or having how they already showed that. Like, for example, regarding how we have black people's whites of eyes left out with really why and how kids are in gangs, like in any city, like in Hartford, like in New York City and Hartford, even if they made it up, because the news has been faking evidences with people that say they're Los Dolitos on Facebook, and with and with people with a whole bunch of people with former police chief Cintron and other police chief years before him, or one or more, with the same house, and one's tied to them involved with all kinds of wire crimes in the police departments and people that used to live in the neighborhood at the same time, collusion slash S with them, all kinds of falsified police reports in their roles personally and professionally with judges and prosecutors, speaking fake things and delusions into databases, as collusions further with people at the state judicial branch offices and next to the state corrections offices. A Ray Cololo and a Joe DeMoro are one of the ones involved with their educators and with people with foreign and domestic with the World Trade Center attack involved. And people, in other words, as ones involved with the Wethersfield police forging and switching names and lying about the motivations. They have confessions about that too, communicated because they make confessions about the switching names and they won't make the false. They won't give any writing. And they try to make fake assumptions. They put confessions with a charge with no writing. They put fake writing. So Mendez police are involved with multiple falsified police reports as police. Also, wire crime acts and methods with the agencies in the courts, in the judicial and corrections offices. They've been putting fake phone transcripts and changing ones. And digital, same thing. All natures of investigations. Investigators are being having been used remotely, criminally, foreign influence, tactically, delusions, raw. Boxing is taught. Boxing is fought, but by the rules. But the rules have been abridged since some ancient times. This is reminds. The breaching method in the communications of America's founders is being and has been replaced. How this is gotten away with is relative to where and to how they have the wire crime acts and methods and other natures of methods that they don't understand themselves completely. Like the roles with the mayors involved with Rita Swanky and others. In other words, I'm sorry I have to use your name, Rita Swanky. You have an educator named Mr. Potter, and people involved with a Chet Casper, involved with people with a Mayor Gold and his family that were putting predicate acts in databases, fake ties, fake natures of ties to me with strangers, with my teachers behind my back since I was a kid, and they spy on you, and they try to leave their names rolls out, and then in other words, but no one's identifying themselves. Further, there's a Michelle Sandquist. I don't know if she's married and she had a different last name now, but she's one of the teachers further involved with WTNH. With some medical and sexual offenders of kids that are also interagencies. They have roles with psychiatry with a whole bunch of different countries, including the ones in the news. And Hartford, Connecticut's Hartford Hospital is recording, confessing, demonstrating, and confirming. They have roles with a bunch of police departments and fire departments, roles with the hospitals, and roles with foreign and domestic intelligence. All kinds of natures of organized crimes, actually, and methods like the method of pretending the right, their uses of the right to lie are legitimate, when how they are not. They are recorded, hyper evidentially recorded, refusing to identify themselves legitimately into branch as conscious collusion /S with criminally foreign influence identity of the ground, uses of location /S, and or the difference of that or next to it. They're forcing people to speak worse than groupthink so they can change and fake everyone's communications, increasingly building upon roles with predicate acts with facts at and acts next to each of the campuses I went, including intercities and intra-cities, exploitations of those uses of themselves that nobody wanted. The exceptions, for example, like where and how. Everyone can change or fake what I say, pretend not to realize what I'm saying. There's violence involved. There are weapons, poisons involved. People putting me in fake conversations, the same ones tied to them. I could list their names. I don't know all of their names, though. But to deal with violence properly, you have to do it on paper. You understand what I'm saying, people? These are ones involved with the World Trade Center attack, too, and planting evidence on my street. I was in the Ninth Circuit Court as an observer right next to the World Trade Center. Do you understand that point, people? And then leading up to that, and since in the court too had sequence shift that day. Same people, intercities, all kinds of besides the criminal and civil cases, they're putting big things. These are proofs that these are the same people involved with the all the fake people that they found with transcripts. I don't even know if there's money stolen from the Fort Knox, in other words. But we don't have defense even. We have the suburbs. In other words, the president's too. He said, our leader said, reciprocity and love. Where he says other and how he has to stay other, where everyone's missing how our side and other sides have roles, forcing leaders to fight and entertain their styles, their A, therefore B, bullying logic. Pretend and roles with exceptions, the exception that you're fake while pretending other, which is also being used to sense that and maintain. 4, a breaching method with maintaining and needing the qualities of fact treating nature as criminal insidiousness, positive treatments and negative treatments, as named treatments, identity, location treatments, timing evaluation. The first part of the old Quran, the first part of the Old Testament before it, there are parts that no one even realizes about, and they're short parts. And this is all that matters. In other words, the first part of the Old Testament says, only defend right here, where the names of the people, the sciences will come together. And the part that comes before it, people won't let anybody do that. And the reason they get away with it is because everyone's putting fake ties, fake natures of ties to other people. And they're building on that. Then they have people changing and faking. Where people say, no one can take what's actually communicated to us. In other words, when I say through us, I'm saying through us as humanity and its system, but now through the systems that we know, we can observe other being and having been communicated than what our founders and what nature is communicating to us, the proper with our syntax regarding convictions with American history, what caused slavery, a human fact, human nature breaching method. There is no excuse for leaders to be calling it racism and pretending not to realize when there are proofs that there was a breaching method that employed black pupils, whites of eyes, to communicate other than nature communicates with it. Otherwise, to sense that person not communicating with it as criminal insidiousness nature. Pretended it positive. Otherwise, that body was sensed, including if that body was a majority of people, including if it was everyone. That's a truth used to lie when they say they came here for religious freedom. They came for religious freedom. Meanwhile, the slavery was still entrenched in northern colonies, southern colonies, northern states, southern states. You guys are covering up and screening and obfuscating what caused the Civil War. And you're pretending not to realize and sensing for the breaching method, which shows you how to speak for your sciences. Black pupils. Forgiveness is to not leave out the breaching method with blame. In other words, because the breaching method is being shown to us by nature itself. You miss it relative to how consciously there were men and women when you guys were kids that communicated other for our founders than they communicated. And this is going on right now. And where it's going on right now, they're valuing that having been. And while shown they need to hide that to come. Boxing is fun. One way you may pray. Boxing. So in other words, people, there are 3 natures of America's founders before America's founders were born. Those behind James Madison and his plan. As pure Native Americans, but forced to be distinct from the rest of the bodies A through Z humanity. only in appearance, because already they had already been forced from tactically denatured. They were approved since before 1492, when Columbus sailed the ocean blue. Already names A through Z, all groupings of humanity, were being and had been forced, tricked, hurt, and persuaded to respond to the real causes of the worst negative nature progressions, acts, and natures wrongly, and then to blame that, not just leaving out what a breaching method caused and blaming on other things and screening it, but increasingly screening you/S of it capable of being, and now only fathomed by everyone. So in other words, everyone has to enable to understand. We have to admit or all faker and pretending other. Everyone brings up the economies and left out the breaching method. It's not just in America. This breaching method measures and maintains. People are only capable of using phrases like criminally foreign influenced, while pretending they can't fathom that there could be a hyper foreign, a hyper additional name than just those A through Z involved. The suburbs from America to Russia to Ukraine were designed to an extent, but they look almost exactly alike. And there are homes still standing that were born before America, that were built before America's founders were born, and they wanted to and could have built better then. And already all the ground was tactically denatured, forcing everyone on the other value nature systems like food, water, other than how nature communicates with positive and negative vaccines. I think.